pass the word, right? So they know the job. They know the job exists. Technology and recruiting. This has been absolutely insane the last maybe 5 years, 10 years. I remember when LinkedIn came out, it was like, okay, that's cool, you know, whatever. Then they came out with LinkedIn Premium or something like that, where you could buy a subscription. Now LinkedIn Premium includes LinkedIn profile data mining. And so if you have a LinkedIn Premium account as an organization, they're pretty expensive. You can go to your dashboard, go to LinkedIn and say, I'm looking for someone who's done embedded software engineering. And then I want 5 years of experience. I want them to have a degree from this kind of institution and at least 2 years of their most recent job. And that job needs to be an organization of 1,000 people or bigger. Go. And it just spits you out everybody on LinkedIn, and you start blasting. And that's how you go find the passive job seekers. So LinkedIn is not the only one. It's the one I'm more familiar with, only because in the last several years, I remember, you know, one student got a job off of LinkedIn where a recruiter contacted them. I was like, oh, that's interesting. The next year, 5. The next year, 10. I think this last year, probably a third of our graduating class was getting offers and lots of interest by being contacted from PEOs, the headhunters, on LinkedIn. So it's a very, very fascinating process how that's kind of revolutionized the industry. But the big part of it is, like I said, it allows you to hit people that aren't interested in quitting their current job. It requires more sales to them, real building relationships, of course, but it allows you to hit those kind of passive job seekers, which can be a big win. Technology, I wanted to bring this up. I think we know this, the idea of someone handwriting an application and bringing it down to an office really limits the applicants that you can get. We love technology. People can apply from all over the world, and anybody can apply. We hate technology because people can apply from all over the world and from anywhere to apply. So let's say we know that there's a keyword match, right? So if you have a decent system, what happens is if I apply to a job as a sanitation engineer, a garbage truck driver in San Francisco, and I upload my resume. It's a curriculum vitae, that's what we call it, right, in academics, and it's gonna have on there, you know, a bunch of research publications and classes that I've taught and stuff like that. No one's ever actually going to see my resume because what was in my resume didn't match the job posting, right? And they're looking for as much match as there is. The higher the match, the more likely that a manager will actually see it and review it, a decision maker will. Well, of course, job seekers know this, and so we'll go over here. Let's just do this really quick. Okay, so here is a senior human resources assistant job description for Amazon. So I'll scroll through this and I'll see, okay, execute content, operations customers, policy administration, site launch. So I'm kind of looking at these keywords here. Talent meetings, that means something in Amazon. Internal communications, oh cripes. I don't have a lot of this on my resume, and they're going to be looking for it. So what I might do here is just take this job description, maybe all the way down to the preferred qualifications, and I'll cut it, and I'll go over to my resume here, and I'll just kind of paste it in. And now I know, of course, this is not a resume, and it's not going to work out very well when they see that on my resume, right? But remember that a computer sees ones and zeros. A computer sees code; it doesn't see actual like content or letters, and it's looking for that ones and zero binary language match. So if I take this and I make it all go away, now I can, oh, I'm not doing this right. You get the idea. Make it all white, make it disappear. What I can do, if I figure out how to use my computer, is I can make it disappear and then finish my resume. I can say awesome at beer pong or whatever the heck is I want to say, and I can submit this, and no one even actually sees that I've just pasted the job description in there. Does that work? Well, sort of. If you have a good system, a good database that's doing this, what it's going to do, and you'll see this like Microsoft has this. If you try this at Microsoft, it's going to say, well, we're going to take your resume with all your pretty pictures and all your cool formatting, and we're gonna translate it into ASCII or ANSI format standard 10-point aerial, make everything black font, white background. And so this will come up, and a manager will get it, see that you've pasted the job description in there, and they'll toss it out. Most systems have that at this point. But this is one of the bears about having everything electronically uploaded in terms of your resumes and applications, because it can create a ton of unqualified applicants. And if you don't have an advanced vetting system, then it just takes you forever to go through it. So tech is great, but I've watched a couple of YouTube videos on TED Talk, on artificial intelligence, and they all say technology is going to be the end of us anyway. So I grew up watching Terminator 2, Skynet, so I totally believe it. Okay, internal sources. I want to make a comment on this. I had a conversation with an HR consultant last night on the phone, and he was saying, I got to my new job, and I said, well, how do you like it? He goes, great people, but they're like 30 years behind. And he said, what do you mean? He said, they don't even have an applicant tracking system. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty funny. So an applicant tracking system is basic selection. I mean, it's a hammer and a nail for framing. I mean, it's like you just have it. An applicant tracking system, an ATS, is where the person will upload their application. They can log in at any point, see where it is in the process. You have the resume, different keywords, upload it so you can apply to different jobs for them. And if they make it through the screening, somebody logs in and hits next, they make it through. If they don't make it through the screening, you can come in and you can click that general letter that says, we thank you for applying to our job. We'll keep you in mind for other opportunities, blah, blah, blah. Basically, thanks, but no thanks. All that's done electronically through an ATS. If your company doesn't have one, if you're hiring more than a dozen, 20 people a year, super helpful to have just in terms of efficiency. Internal recruitment, what do I want to say here? Oh, yes. I had a situation, I was trying to hire human factors engineers, which is just kind of a really weird group of people. They design career ops, they design like the cockpit and everything that the pilot touches inside of an aircraft, commercial aircraft. And so you have to have people that understand like psychology, for instance, how people respond in emergency or not situations. They have to understand ergonomics of the chair, keeping them awake and blood flow and etc. They have to be a pilot, so they know how pilots respond and what they're used to. And they have to be an engineer because they're designing all the different systems and everything's in the cockpit and the buttons that the pilot touches. So it's a really weird group of people, and I can never find enough of them. And that senior manager was always whining at me like there's not enough and you're moving too slow. And so we implemented this thing called, it was an employee referral program. And I came in and I said, okay, there's 5 levels. I said, okay, hey, look, we're going to pay you, I think it was like $1,000 if you refer someone to work here and we hire them as like a referral, as a finder's fee, as a thank you, being an ambassador for the brand, you know, Boeing. We're gonna pay you $1,000, and nothing happened. And I was talking with one of the engineers, and he was just like, hey, that was cute, what you did. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, $1,000. We all make like 150,000 plus a year. It's not worth $1,000 really to pick up the phone and bother our friends. It's like, oh, okay. So we increased it significantly, and within about 6 months, we were for the first time where we needed to be in terms of staffing levels. And what was interesting to me on that is I know other professors who teach management, right? If you like golf, you probably know other golfers. If you play bridge, you know other people that play bridge. Well, if you're a human factors engineer and you're a pilot, you know other pilots, right? It's almost like dealing with clusters or social clusters, social network analysis. So if there's a particular group of people that you're finding, like, I can't find this skill set, you go find the people in your current organization who know them, and you incentivize them to reach out to their social network. That's a current employee referral. It works, doesn't always work, but can work. It can also create problems. Think about social clusters. People are hanging out by way of race or age, gender, etc. Then you tend to attract only that type of person. So there's some diversity challenges in there as well. External recruiting sources. I guess what I want you to see on this slide is if you hit them all, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If you hit none of them, you're going to have a what's the technical term there? Crappy, I guess. Applicant population, not super high skill set, most likely because it's not very broad. So the question is, of this job that I'm looking for, where am I most likely to find that person? If I'm looking for a plumber, I'm probably not going to just go all in on LinkedIn, right? I'm probably going to go to a labor union, and I'm probably going to go to Craigslist. If I'm looking for a petroleum engineer for an entry-level job, I'm probably going to go to a college campus if it's entry level for someone who has that unique degree. So anyway, each one of these just needs to fit with whatever the KSAs, the knowledge, skills, abilities that you've put on the job. Okay, how do we know if we're doing well when it comes to recruiting? If we're hitting the right people, stuff like that. There are metrics, everything kind of post-enlightenment, I mentioned this earlier, kind of driven by metrics, and they tell us, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? There's a number of them. They hit all kinds of different things from time to quality to quantity, etc., satisfaction in the process. There's a few that I really like that I want to point out here. Yield ratio, selection rate, where do I want to go? I want to go here because this kind of has them all. Okay, so what this says is, and each one of these to me, if you're recruiting, like you care about each one of them. Total initial contacts. If you know, I have a friend who sells insurance, and he goes, I can sell insurance anytime I want. It takes about 2 or 3 hours for a policy. I can do it right now. I said, how do you know that? He says, well, I know from I'll throw out some numbers. I can cold call through any numbers. It used to be a phone book. It's not a phone book anymore. I can start cold calling people, and I know that of every 150 phone calls I make, I'm going to have 50 people answer the phone. And of the 50 that answer the phone, I'm going to have 4 conversations, and I usually land 1 of 4, 2 of 4 for a meeting, and 1 of 4, one of those 2 actually buys it. So all I have to do is go call 150 people or 100 people, and I sold an insurance policy. It's just a matter of time. So you're going to see that if you examine the data, you'll see that. If I reach out to 500 people, that I hire 3 jobs. Well, you're starting to get your ratios down when a recruiter says, hey, I worked really hard today and I made 3 phone calls. No, actually you didn't. That's moving way too slow. That's not going to cut it just for our numbers. So there's drop off, or what's called mortality, at each step. Total initial contacts in this case is 100 to formal applicants 30. So what that means is either your recruiter got 30% of them to apply, or your recruiter determined that only 30% that they got to apply was actually qualified for the job. So there's usually your biggest drop off, right? From those who apply to those that you interview, those are the ones you get to decide. So going from initial contacts, the bottom one to the second one, initial contacts to applicants, that's the prospective employee's decision. Oh, I heard about this job. No, I don't want it. I'm not going to apply. You work on that. You sell on that as hard as you can. The next jump, formal applicants to interviewees. From here up, it's all you. All the way to the last one, I guess. You decide from those who apply who you want to interview. And let's say that number is really high. 10 people apply and you interview all 10. You might go to your recruiter and say, hey, you're doing a great job finding people who we feel are qualified. That's why we're interviewing them. But chances are, if we're doing 100%, then you, recruiter, can be broader in who you get to apply. When you interview, some of those people are going to get an offer. If you interview 50 people and you only give 1 offer, that's frustrating. That's a waste of a lot of time. That means you interviewed a bunch of people that either A, weren't serious about it, or B, weren't qualified, which means somewhere early in the process, they got through. When you go to interviews, you don't want to be interviewing people, wasting time, who aren't interested, or trying to just get a counter offer or something. And you don't want to be interviewing people that aren't qualified. So if you can select well with your recruiter, if you can vet well with the application, saying, yes, this person meets the minimum qualifications, required qualifications, you interview more. Let's say you throw out, in this case, this example, there's 10 offers. This to me is the biggest metric probably that matters most. At this point, you've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. You've got time and money invested in what you're about to do, and that is write a job offer. So whenever students tell me, like, they get a job offer, they go, should I ask for more money? And I say, yes, ask for more money. Here's how to do it. And they say, well, what if they say no? What if they just throw out the offer? I go, it doesn't really happen, because they've gone through all this time and investment already. They're not just going to toss it. Usually, they're not just going to toss it out. They've selected you. They've said, amongst everyone, amongst our initial 100 contacts, we want to give you an offer. This metric matters. If you give 10 offers and you hire 5 people from those 10 offers, that's fine. That's good. You'll figure out what works for your company. If you give 10 offers and you only get 1, that tells you something. That tells you something probably about the compensation you're offering. It's too low. Or if you give 10 offers and you get 10 people say, yes, I'm in. That might mean either A, you're paying too much, maybe on a negative side for you, or B, your process, your recruiting process is awesome and you're killing it. But don't just assume you're awesome if you get 10 out of 10. So that last one matters a lot, because the higher that ratio is, the higher to offer ratio, it's called the yield ratio. The higher your yield ratio, that means that you actually got kind of butt in seat the person that you wanted to get there. It wasn't them opting out, all that investment, right, paid off, and you got the person that you wanted. Usually you want that number as high as possible, but if it gets really high, just do a compensation analysis and make sure you're not overpaying people and squandering money unnecessarily, unless of course you want to. Anyway, that's how we evaluate. So we go through all this stuff, recruiting, we look at internal, external, independent contractors, PEOs, etc. But at the end of the day, this is the report card that tells us, yeah, you're recruiting well. You're getting enough people, enough applicants, etc. Or it can help identify problems that, again, at a macro level, systematically, that you go fix. And that's what we have for Chapter 6. So have a great day.